Have you ever wondered how Sherlock Holmes can walk into a room, glance at a muddy shoe, a wrinkled hat, and a nervous smile, and somehow turn those tiny details into a whole story that makes everyone else blink in amazement? Reasoning like Sherlock Holmes is not about being spooky or superhuman, because it is really about learning how to notice carefully, think patiently, and connect clues instead of rushing to the first exciting guess that pops into your head. When Sherlock reasons, he starts by observing, which means he looks closely at what is actually there, rather than what he expects or hopes to see, even when distractions try to steal his attention. Observation is like turning your brain's camera from blurry mode to high definition, where colors, patterns, and changes suddenly become meaningful instead of melting into background noise. Sherlock also separates facts from opinions, because facts are things you can point to and check, while opinions are more like feelings wearing fancy costumes that sometimes pretend to be facts. If someone says a room feels strange, Sherlock quietly asks what exactly feels strange, which details cause that feeling, and whether those details can be seen, touched, or tested. Another secret of Sherlock's reasoning is patience, because he lets clues sit in his mind long enough to speak, instead of forcing them to shout answers too early. When you rush, your brain tends to grab the loudest idea, but when you slow down, quieter and smarter ideas finally get a turn. Sherlock also loves asking questions, especially questions that begin with why, how, and what if, because these questions open doors instead of slamming them shut. Instead of assuming he already knows the answer, he treats every mystery like a puzzle that deserves respect, curiosity, and careful handling. Reasoning like Sherlock means connecting clues logically, which is like building a bridge where each plank must fit properly, or else the whole thing collapses into confusion. If muddy shoes appear, he wonders where the mud came from, how fresh it is, and why it stayed only on one shoe, instead of inventing a dramatic story immediately. Sherlock also checks whether different clues agree with each other, because clues that fight usually mean something has been misunderstood. When clues point in different directions, he does not panic, because contradictions are signs that more thinking is needed, not that thinking has failed. Another powerful habit is imagining multiple explanations, because the first explanation is rarely the only one, and sometimes it is not even the best one. Reasoning well means holding several ideas in your mind at once, even when one feels very convincing. Sherlock carefully removes explanations that do not fit the facts, which is called elimination, and this process is often more helpful than guessing the right answer immediately. Every time an explanation fails a test, Sherlock smiles inside, because being wrong teaches him more than being accidentally right. Reasoning like Sherlock also requires controlling emotions, since fear, excitement, or pride can rush thinking and push logic off a cliff. When feelings get loud, Sherlock lets logic speak calmly, reminding his brain to focus on evidence rather than drama. This skill is helpful in real life, especially during arguments, misunderstandings, or tricky decisions that feel urgent but deserve care. Sherlock reasons step by step, building conclusions slowly, like stacking books carefully so none fall over. He does not skip steps, because skipped steps often hide mistakes that later jump out and wave embarrassing flags. Good reasoning also means explaining your thinking clearly, so others can follow the path you walked instead of staring at the destination in confusion. Sherlock often explains his reasoning after solving a mystery, showing how small details mattered and how each idea led to the next. This teaches that reasoning is not magic, but a skill anyone can practice with time, effort, and curiosity. Kids reason like Sherlock when they solve puzzles, figure out games, or explain why something happened the way it did. Every time you stop and ask what the evidence shows, you train your brain to think more clearly. Reasoning also helps you avoid being tricked, because it spots gaps, shortcuts, and flashy distractions designed to fool your thinking. Sherlock never trusts a conclusion that refuses to answer questions politely. When something cannot explain itself clearly, Sherlock gently pokes it with more questions. Reasoning like Sherlock means staying curious, because curiosity keeps your mind awake and flexible. It also means staying humble, because even the smartest thinkers make mistakes and learn by correcting them. Sherlock treats mistakes as clues too, since they reveal where thinking went wrong. Over time, reasoning becomes a habit, turning everyday thinking into a quiet investigation. You begin to notice patterns, causes, and connections everywhere. Suddenly, school problems, friendships, and daily choices feel more manageable. Reasoning does not remove mystery from life, but it helps you enjoy mystery without confusion. When you reason like Sherlock Holmes, you do not just solve puzzles, you learn how to think clearly, fairly, and confidently. And once your brain learns that skill, every ordinary day starts to feel like a clever little mystery waiting to be understood.